He was coaching Division I athletes, competing for championships, and living his dream job when he suddenly realized he had to walk away from it all. Ian Clardy spent 17 years in strength and conditioning, University of Montana, Southern Utah, University of Washington, 80 to 100-hour weeks. His whole identity was his job. Then he realized he had no life outside of it, so he flipped the script. Halfway through the cigar, he breaks down why most people waste their time in the gym. You're doing 17 exercises for your back when you only need one. Get strong at pull-ups, really strong, and your body has no choice but to adapt. And that's it. He calls it removing your body's choice to stay the same. We went deep on the Soviet training method, why kettlebells are superior to everything else, peptides that healed his knee in a week after a jiu-jitsu injury, and why range of motion is the biggest mistake he sees. This is what 90 minutes over cigars gets you. No fitness influencer bullshit, just 17 years of actually doing the hard work with intent. In the next 90 minutes, you're gonna learn the only 6 to 10 exercises you actually need for a lifetime of results, the 3 peptides worth looking into, and why your body is fighting you because you're giving it too many options. This is Breaking Cigars with Ian Clardy.
Ian, great to have you, brother.
Thank you, Anatoly. I'm pumped for this.
For today, I have a selection of 3 different cigars for you. This time, I think for the first time between all the different podcasts, 3 different lengths. 2 of them are Manuel Alonso cigars. They're a mix of Connecticut wrapper and Nicaraguan binder and filler. And they have some Spanish tradition associated with them. It started in 1867, obviously. And this one, I think it's a Churchill. Seems somewhat like a Churchill.
You said that one, I want to say
Corona.
That's going to be a Robusto, I believe.
Robusto, okay.
Yeah, close to Robusto, and then you have the Lancero there.
The Lancero, correct.
Yep. Because this little guy here is actually one of my favorite gauges, because it's like Tubo Petite Corona size, where it's a little bit longer than a cigarillo, but so it's not just like a little 5-minute thing, but you're looking like maybe 20-30 minutes of like good enjoyment. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. Lancero never really got me. I don't know. I always feel like you remember, you ever see those pictures of like the ladies like back in like the 1800s where they have like this super long like cigarette like holding on a stick.
Yeah.
That's what the Lancero reminds me of.
It's very feminine, and usually females are suggested to go for Lanceros.
Yep.
And even though these, I believe, are the exact same tobacco, they're going to have a different feeling because of the length and because of the gauge, and the burn intensity. And so I actually like to go for the Lanceros. It's like the dessert that I go for after having a Robusto or a Churchill. If I'm still in the cigar lounge working, I usually don't grab a second cigar because it's a little too much. I go for a Lancero, and it's a perfect dessert for me.
Interesting. Okay, so that's how you'll stack like a second stick up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So usually I'm a one and done, or else there's gonna be too much nicotine. Then I start to get like that nauseous. I'm like, this is a mistake. But
I feel you. I usually am at that cigar lounge with a guy that smokes 4 to 5 cigars a day consistently. He's a Brazilian Italian guy. His name's Renato. Awesome dude. And he's always hyping me up. He's like, man, come on, like you can't stop at one. Come on. Let's grab another bad boy. In fact, the channel Breaking Cigars actually sort of stole the name, or he inspired me of the name, because he'd always say, hey, Anatoly, let's break a bad boy, brother. Let's break a bad boy. And I'm like, man, Breaking Cigars should be the name of the channel. And so I kind of stole that from him. But in your case, which one are you thinking of going for?
I mean, I'm a little under the weather right now, I'll admit. So I got to do the little Cigarillo Tubo Petite Corona combo. But yeah, this is plus. Actually, you never told me what blend is this.
So this is, I believe, either machine assisted or machine made. It has no brand. It comes in a pack of 25 to 30 from my cigar shop or my buddy's cigar shop in Latvia. Literally no brand.
So this is a house stick.
It's a house stick, yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
And I really enjoy them. If I am ever on my balcony in Latvia, it's usually pretty cold.
Yeah.
And so smoking one of these takes a little too long.
Yep.
So I wrap myself up and usually have one of these.
Yeah, it gets the job done. See, I love a good house brand, because when cigar lounges actually, you could tell how how much they really give a shit if they have a good house stick. So
Mhm.
if they have a good house stick, like that's how you know they're serious about it. Even if it's not, they don't have to be a high-end cigar lounge, but it just shows that they care about what they're doing.
And how do you know if it's a house stick? If there's no brand and it's sold at that place, would you consider that a house stick?
I generally will, but I always ask. Like
Mhm.
honestly, that's the quickest way to find out. Because if you go in, you can find like unbranded, sticks and whatnot. But if you ask them like, "Oh, is this your house blend, or is this just like you bought a bunch of sticks and you're calling it your house blend?"
Mhm.
And generally, the dude working the front, like the cash register, he might not know. But if they have like the shop owner, manager, like dude who calls himself a cigar sommelier, like he'll be able to tell you, and you can generally pick up if he's bullshitting or not. Because the cashier always tell you, "Oh yeah, that's our house stick," and it's like, "All right, cool. Like, what's it? Where's it from?" Kind of thing. "Oh well, it's New World." All right, cool. Thanks, man. Didn't do shit for me. But a good one is it's nice because it's a good smoke for the buck. Can't be mad about it.
How long have you been smoking cigars?
Mm. Well, since I attempted to smoke cigars, or like actually like really started smoking cigars.
Both.
So I attempted to smoke my first cigar when I was in high school, and I was like 17. We tried to cut it with like crafting scissors. It didn't go well. We're using like a fucking camping lighter. Like we had no fucking clue what we were doing. But I knew that I wanted to smoke cigars,
Mhm.
and we butchered that poor thing. It was like legit, like the fabric scissors, like the long kind of stem ones. That you get.
Yeah.
So we had like those. We're sitting in like some fucking, in a backyard somewhere at some party. It's like January, freezing our nuts off, like trying to light it and whatever. It's falling apart in our mouth because we didn't use a cutter or anything. Wasn't sharp. So I always knew like I wanted to smoke cigars. I want to try it. And then it was probably another 10 years or so before I finally actually bought like a cigar cutter, torch, and like really like lit it up and started smoking. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty enjoyable. And it was probably like 2018, so like 7 years ago. A little after I first moved to Vegas.
So about 7 years ago.
Yep.
And how frequently do you smoke nowadays? Is it once a month type of thing, once a week, whenever there's networking events?
Usually, most often, like networking events. I'm a big fan of it. Sometimes, like over the summer, when it's nice outside, I'll smoke more often. Once wintertime hits, I don't like smoke. I don't like being cold when I smoke. Like I want to be comfortable, want to enjoy it.
Mhm.
So if I could be indoors, if I have a good lounge to go to, that's a huge plus, and I'll do that usually.
Mhm.
When I was in Vegas, there's a cigar lounge that had just opened up, literally a mile down the road from where I lived, right before I moved there. And so I could walk down there, drive down there, whatever. Had the little VIP membership, had the locker, like the whole thing. It was awesome. So I loved going in there. Would probably hit that up. If I was home, at least once, maybe twice a week. And then I go through periods where it's like, yeah, you know what, we're just gonna like detox and like cut out the tobacco, cut out booze, all that kind of stuff for a little bit. And booze will always go before tobacco.
Mhm.
But that's so it just kind of depends. Go through phases, different seasons. Right now I've been in a not really smoking much season for the last couple months because it started getting cold. Didn't really have a place to go where I could smoke indoors. Just had other shit to do because like if I sit down to smoke, like I want to be able to enjoy it, And so like we got to have some time set aside, and that hasn't been a thing. So yeah, so this is actually pretty nice. I liked it. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, brother. Great to have you. And like, what's your story?
So-
Was it that you were born and grew up in Vegas? Have you always been in Vegas, or did you start in a different spot?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern California, and when I was 19, went off to college, went to the University of Montana, and while I was there, I started working in the weight room as an intern, strength and conditioning intern, because originally when I was getting ready to go off to college after getting my associate's degree and GED and all that stuff, because I started college when I was 15
Mhm.
and graduated with my associate's degree right before I turned 18, or when I was 18, right before I turned 19. Um, and originally the plan was I was going to transfer schools, be a political science major, and I was going to take that, go to law school, be a lawyer, make a shit ton of money, and then take that money and I was going to open a gym. Goal was open a gym by the time I'm 30. Cool. So I was like, why are you going to go to law school and do all that and, all this kind of stuff? I'm like, oh, so I can make money to like be able to open up a gym. Like, well, why don't you just get good at training people and then like open a gym anyways? It's like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. So I swapped my majors and went into applied exercise science. Was what I graduated with for my bachelor's, and did that at University of Montana. Started interning while I was there, and then worked at a few other schools, both as an intern, then graduate assistant, and then full-time coach in Division I athletics as a strength and conditioning coach. And in 2017, when my contract was up at University of Washington, I decided that I was kind of at the point where before my contract was up, I said, when the time is up here, like I'm gonna be done. Like, this strength and conditioning wasn't the industry that I wanted to be in. It wasn't the route that I was going to stick with because it wasn't offering me the ability to have much of a life outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
My identity of who I was really tied into my job, and I know that now. At the time, I couldn't figure it out. I just knew that like there was things missing in my life, and I didn't know what they were, but I wasn't going to get them doing this. However, I had a great job working with some amazing coaches, awesome athletes. We're competing for championships. Like, I was working my dream job. So I was ready to leave it and walk away, but I was like, let me finish out the contract. And let's see what's going to happen with like staffing changes and things like that. But if I leave here, I'm done. And I left, moved down to Vegas. The girl I was dating at the time, she was from Vegas. Her family was there, and she had just gotten a job down there. And when I met her, we were both going to school at Southern Utah University. I was working there and doing my master's. She was doing her undergrad.
Was it still related to strength and conditioning?
Yes. Yeah. So my master's degree, I did that in sports conditioning and performance. And I was a graduate assistant for the athletics department in the weight room. So I was working with the football team. I was in charge of softball, women's soccer, both men's and women's golf. Some awesome athletes. Really is funny. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was going through some old programs and hard drives and stuff, and I'm like, it's like a memory jog, trip down memory lane of going through the programs. Like, oh yeah, this one was a banger. Like, I remember this. I remember this workout, and I remember and like seeing sheets that were saved that an athlete had to spec like their own sheet because they had to make modifications and stuff, and yeah, it was cool. But yeah, so met her there. Obviously met her family, and like we stayed, on vacation, like Christmas break, summer break. Spent some time down in Vegas, and I really liked Vegas because it was reminiscent of where I grew up in California in a lot of ways. And so when I left Washington, I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go to Vegas. You'll be close to your family. You already have a job there. I can do whatever. I can reinvent myself, do whatever I want. Like, let's do it up." And so moved down to Vegas in 2017, and life took a few lefts and rights and a bunch of different turns ever since. So yeah.
But still in the space of strength and conditioning this entire way through.
So up until 2017 was like an actual official D1 strength and conditioning coach. Once I left Washington, then I went into more, like, I hate to use the term personal training, but like personal training. And the reason I hate that is because it's a catch-all phrase that it describes a lot of people who call themselves personal trainers but don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they don't have a depth of knowledge or any idea of like really how to do things that work consistently. They'll work with a client and they do some stuff that they read out of a textbook, but if they get results, great. If they don't, clients don't stick around anyways. So like, what the fuck do they care? And they can't actively explain why it is that things work and replicate it, and they can't branch outside of what it is they've read. You know, whatever they learned on their little certification test, that's the depth of their knowledge and what it is that they do. And it does a disservice to what's possible. And to me, I feel like it does a disservice to the hours that I've put in over the last 17, going on 18 years, learning my craft, honing my craft, and expanding my knowledge, not just of the training side, but also like nutrition, supplements, peptides, like recovery, every aspect of human performance, the mindset.
Mhm.
That's one that none of them fucking touch on. None of them touch on. And because it's all encompassing, that's why I hate kind of lumping myself in as like, oh yeah, I'm a personal trainer. It's like, yeah, it's a piece of what I do, but it's not all of what I do. And it was always like that, even as a strength and conditioning coach, where yes, I was the strength and conditioning coach, but like I was also helping the athletes with nutrition coaching. And you know, I could say now, giving them advice on supplements. Back in the day, you couldn't do that shit. You know, you weren't supposed to, at least, because you know NCAA regulations and all that kind of stuff. And like the mindset aspect of it is a huge part of it, where being able to help athletes optimize and have a performance mindset to get the best out of themselves, you know, is something that a lot of coaches miss out on, and they don't really know how to pull that out of people, much less athletes. This is actually a really nice cigar. I will. I will probably finish it.
Good. Good. For me, it was always kind of tragic sitting in the cigar lounge and seeing cigars kind of like only a quarter of them smoked.
Yeah.
And then it's just sitting there to die.
Yeah.
That one might be a little bit dead, so feel free to use the green
very
one.
dead, but let me see if I can coax a little bit out of it. There we go.
And so in 2017, like, what took a turn? What changed in 2017?
Oof, what changed in 2017? In what context, I guess?
Because you mentioned that something changed, like you moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
And you became a coach for D1, and this is wrestling, or?
So I was a strength coach at the University of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I took the job there in January of 2017.
Yeah.
My contract basically was up through the end of the fiscal year,
mm-hmm.
At the end of June. And during that time, there was they were doing a hiring search for a new director.
Mm-hmm.
And when I signed on, they basically like, hey, like there's 2 internal candidates that are super strong. So odds are one of them is going to get the job, and then you'll just move into that next kind of position, and it's just going to be an ongoing thing. So technically, I wasn't guaranteed anything beyond, June. I was all right, cool. I trust myself. I have enough faith in my own ability to coach that I'm gonna earn my spot. Like I'm gonna make it so that like they can't say no. And what ended up happening was that they went with someone like an outside hire eventually, and that outside hire wanted to bring in his own guy. And one of the catches was that we were at the University of Washington in Seattle,
mm-hmm.
right? And this was in 2017. Things were changing, political correctness, climate, things like that. I happened to be one of the 2 straight white males, Caucasian, on staff.
Yep.
Technically, you could argue there was 3, but he was able to. He had a couple kind of we'll call them other boxes like to check, and the guy coming in, straight white dude, and he wanted to bring in one of his guys, another straight white dude. It's like, it's pretty crowded, so whose contract is up? Ian? All right, sorry, man. Like, odd man out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other coach that was there with me, he ended up leaving. He works for the Twins now. Shout out Dave Rack. Rack Attack. One of my favorite powerlifters of all time. He's a super fun dude to train with. Him and I would talk shop. Probably one of the only people that can geek out more on training stuff, like more than I do, the nitty gritty. So shouts out to Dave. Super good at what he does, especially with baseball players, like absolute fucking elite specialist. So, but yeah, no, during that time, I also realized that being a strength coach, it had consumed my life. It was my identity and all I really knew. And I knew that I also wanted more outside of it. And they're like, I wanted to actually like make some money and get ahead in life. It wasn't happening there. I did the, being in Seattle, I did the math and I realized if I got paid hourly, I would make more per hour working at Starbucks than I do as a strength coach. But you get paid a flat rate salary and you just got to get the job done. So it's like, oh, cool. Like 60 hours a week. Awesome. Light work. 80 hours a week. That sounds like about more kind of standard at that level. 100 hours a week. Yep, it'll happen. Like, yeah, oh yeah, you're traveling with the team. Like you're there, first group at 7 a.m. You get done at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. That's Monday through Thursday. And then Thursday night, finish up, I'd finish up men's crew. They get their last lift of the weekend, Thursday night. I'd walk across the hall, hit the shower, freshen up, grab my bag, hop on the light rail, down to SeaTac, fly down to wherever softball was. I'd be with softball all weekend. We get home Sunday night. I'm back in the weight room 7 a.m. Monday morning. Do it all over again. And so it's that level of like fatigue where there's no room for anything else in your life. You want to have a family, you want to fucking have a girlfriend. Like, good luck, man. You don't lose nothing. And so it's super unhealthy. I knew it was unbalanced, and that was why once I was working my dream job, but I was like, yeah, once I'm out here, like, I'm done. Like this isn't going to be it for the long term. And there wasn't a whole lot of upward mobility even from that position because I was at a Power 5 school working a full time gig. Like, only place to go up from there is like a director position. I was it was 2017. I was 25, about to be 26. Like, you don't get that spot till you're early mid 30s. So I got another 5-10 years before like anyone will look at me for an upgrade at that level. Or if I'm going to get like an upgrade in title, it means I'm stepping backwards in terms of prestige and like level of competition. And I wanted to work with the best. I genuinely believed then, and still to this day, like, I'm one of the best there is, and so I want to work with the best. And I'm like, I was there to win championships. It's like, what can we do? What do I have to do to contribute to be able to help us win a championship? Does that mean, like, even if it's way outside of the purview of strength and conditioning? Like when I was at Southern Utah, I was like, we're traveling, cool. Like, all right, yeah, I'll organize the meals. I'll order it all ahead of time, get all this stuff sorted. Oh, we got to go pick this up. Cool, done. What are we doing? Like, with softball, it's like, what are we doing in the dugout? Like, oh, we got, some girls that they're scratched for the day. So like they got to get a workout in so they stay fit. Cool. 7 a.m. Like, let's hit it. Down in the hotel gym. I got you. Like, whatever it was, I was willing to do it and go there because I was that, obsessed, I guess, with winning, because it's like, I can't let somebody else be on the team who wants to win more than me. Like, that's crazy to me. Nobody should be like, I want to be the dude that is always doing whatever it takes. Nobody's trying harder than me. Nobody cares more than me. Like, it's just not how I'm wired. And so that consumed obviously my whole life. And I realized how unhealthy that was. And so when that time was done, it was like, cool, I'm walking away from this and I'm not going back. Because I had other job offers when people heard that, like, I left Washington. Like, I had offers to go to other schools. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like, I got to where I wanted to go. I know what that life is like, and I know that it's not going to get me what I actually want out of life. I got to go figure out what that is. And so that's what happened when I moved down to Vegas. That's when I started working online and like coaching people virtually. And then in Vegas, I did take a job working in a commercial gym because I also just wanted to like be around people. I wanted to coach people again. And so I worked at Lifetime there, made some connections, and then it turned into a awesome. So now we're expanding horizons. I got the training side done, pretty solid with this. Got the nutrition stuff done, good. I got all the basics of that part of me and like skill stack. Now it's time to add other things on, outside of that and round out who I am as a person and really discover what is it that I want out of life and like start working on that kind of stuff.
Going back a little bit, working in the universities, working with those teams, it seems like you worked with quite a large variety of teams. You mentioned softball.
Yeah.
There was wrestling as well. Like, which teams, did you have a preference for a particular type of sport to work with? Or you work with any sport and you come up with a training plan, meal plan for any and all sports?
Honestly, I didn't care. I could give two shits about the sport. It was the athletes. It was all about who am I working with, and are they there to like win? Are we there to like? Are we gonna? Because if we're there to achieve something, then I'm gonna have a great time. And if I'm having a great time, cool. Like I'm happy. What more is there? You know. So when I was at Southern Utah, one of my favorite teams there was women's soccer. You know, because the girls that came in, like, they fucking got after it. They wanted to win, and they busted their ass, and that was the thing that mattered to me. One of my, honestly, low key, one of the most savage teams when it came to lifting was the golf team at Southern Utah. They fucking got after it. There were some kids that, dude, they did some awesome shit. They're like, again, like they're power cleaning, front squatting, like they're hitting, over the body weight on some front squats as a golfer. Like that shit's crazy, But they were about it. So to me, like that environment, that was super fun. So it's all about the athletes and the culture, and that touches more on what I was saying about the mindset part. It was building that culture and having that culture of success and chasing after it. That's the part that I care about more. The sport, like, they're all cool. Like I love learning about sports. I love seeing how things like really work and what leads to success. At the highest levels. Like right now, my big one is Formula One. Right, it's a dude in a car, but the whole team aspect of it, everything that goes into it, all the little intricate details and the things that you don't see right away on TV, like that's the stuff I love learning about. The fact that like they've custom fabricate their own screws for a fucking car. That's the level of like detail that you have to get into to engineer to create this fucking rocket ship on wheels. The dudes are flying around city streets at 200 miles an hour. To me, that's super awesome. And to compete at that level and do that kind of thing, that's the stuff that I geek out on and I enjoy. So the sport doesn't matter so much as the athlete and the mindset and approach that they have to it.
That makes complete sense. And going from there, in 2017, you became personal trainer at Good Life. You seem like the kind of person that derives a lot of pride and pleasure from seeing people evolve.
Yeah.
How did that transfer into personal training at Good Life?
So it was it was interesting actually. So when we're at Lifetime in Vegas, the reason I picked Lifetime was because I did a little bit of research and I realized that it was the most expensive gym in the city. So I was going to be able to charge a rate that was on par with my like experience. And with that, it also meant that I was going to be around people who were willing to pay high prices for excellent service, which means they're going to be more likely to be successful, well off and whatnot. And for me, I was looking to expand my horizons and get more out of life. So that was, hey, I can train some people. They're going to pay me to train them. But while I'm training them, I'm going to be like talking with them, picking their brain. Like I can learn and essentially like hopefully find someone to take me under their wing and like mentor me in things outside of the training stuff. Because training isn't going to be the thing that necessarily gets me where I want to go, but it's going to be an important step along the way. So let's leverage that. So that was really what I went into working as a personal trainer kind of to do. And with that, my goal was always the same. Same as whether it was athletes or it was clients at Lifetime was, we're going to get better. You're going to move better. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to get stronger. And your overall performance is going to improve. Plain and simple. What more do you want? And so everyone who I worked with, like, they got stronger. They moved better. They felt better. Their back pain went away. Their knees felt better. Like, they could, play with their kids more. They could, like, have things happen in life that, I remember one client, he was loading his son's ATV into a truck, and the ATV fell off, like, the boards or whatever that he was, like, the ramp. And so he was holding on to it, and he stopped it from, like, totally rolling, and, like, kind of caught it, and, like, held it, and then, like, set it down gently or whatever, flipped it back over, put it in the truck, got it all right. Comes in the next day, he goes, yeah, back's a little sore because this happened. I was like, okay. He goes, he goes, I gotta tell you though, before we started working together, that would have totally thrown my back out. You wouldn't have seen me for 2 months. I was like, yeah. He goes, yep, clearly this is working. Because he was able to grab his fucking 6-year-old's mini ATV. And keep in mind, this dude was 60.
Wow.
So, he's an old dude that is, doing this thing and had only started lifting 6 months prior with me. First time he lifted weights since he was in, high school for the Marines. So, that was, it was those kind of moments that, again, we might not be competing for championships, but when you can tangibly see and feel a difference in what it is that you're doing, that to me was where my satisfaction of, all right, cool, I know I did a good job here, and they felt it. So that was more the approach of where I set my sights of, this is what it's going to be, of what success looks like.
What gives you more gratification? Is it seeing the people evolve as a result of your training methods? Or do you very much enjoy the science and the nitty-gritty of it more and all the different techniques? What gives you the greatest amount of gratification from everything that you do as a personal trainer?
That's a good question. I would say being able to take all that nitty-gritty, the science and all that kind of stuff, being able to take that and apply it and directly see the results that come from it, that's the part that I get the satisfaction from. My own personal satisfaction. Okay, cool, I did something here, right? But with that, they got to win. They got to have that feeling. They got to have that aha moment, that, light bulb goes off, that, what the hell, how did I grab that ATV and, not throw my back out? How, I had a soccer mom that I've talked about, kind of before. I've mentioned in stories. She was a fucking savage. She was awesome. She was 42, and she could swing a 32-kilo belt, literally half her body weight, one-handed swing, 100 reps in 5 minutes. At 42 years old with 5 kids.
Damn.
Yeah. And stuff like that. She just busted her ass so hard that when she got after it, that was the difference. And she could see the difference. It was the best she'd looked in years, since before she had kids. Her confidence was through the roof, and shouts out Jenny. It was those. She was one of my favorite clients because one, we just got along. She's an amazing person, but two, she would get after it a just savage. And so she came in with the right attitude. She chased it. She put in the work, and she reaped the rewards. And what I could do in terms of programming and the knowledge and stuff and teaching her was great. But the fact that she was able to go and achieve that is that's killer to me. And so knowing that I play a part in that, and then even after I left Lifetime, she still stays fit and in shape, and for years after, is still doing some of the stuff that I taught her, and seeing the difference, and able to maintain and just be looking awesome, feel great. So to me, that's where my real satisfaction comes from, is knowing that what it was that I did or taught someone made a difference to improve their life.
How do you, as a trainer, get the most performance out of your clients? Does it have to do something with motivation? Does it have something to do with chemistry with that person? For example, you mentioned the soccer mom seemed to have great chemistry. How is it as a personal trainer that you're able to get 200% performance from that person to get them those maximum results?
So it's kind of twofold. There's the aspect of when the chemistry's there and the connection and the vibe is right, then it doesn't really matter what we do. There's going to be positive. It's going to be a positive result. But on a base level, just simply by knowing what some essentials are that we gotta like tackle and attack in order to achieve better performance, that will get us there, right? And that's where I said, like, coming back to the science and the nitty gritty behind it, knowing how to do things like better, that makes the difference. And when you have that, then it becomes easier to, you know, get them bought in so that like they can enjoy that connection and we have the vibe right and the chemistry's there because they trust you, right? But just in and of itself, knowing what to do, if you know what to do and how to do it well, you're gonna get the results. It doesn't really matter. Like I tell people, I got more ways of getting you strong and feeling better than you have of staying the same. All you got to do is just show up, check the box. Like I'll put it down on the sheet. You tell me what the limitations are. You tell me what the goal is. You know, when we're putting together our training goal and I'm putting together the program and system and like what like how we're gonna go about it, what that training stack is gonna be, then as long as you show up, you check the box, like give it a month, my guy. You're gonna feel a difference. You'll feel the difference, and when you feel it, it makes it that much easier to buy in and attack it that much harder. You know, because you realize like, oh shit, this is working. Dope. Let's get after it more.
What's your level of involvement with your clients? Is it the type of thing where you're present there for every single training? Do they send you their nutrition every day, their meals? To what extent are you present in that fitness and nutrition journey?
So my basic kind of general setup when I'm working with clients now is I don't do anything in person anymore. And I don't do like if me and a client happen to be in the same place, like I'll train with them, you know, and I'll like we'll work together like in person, but it's not something that I put out there as a service. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna do, you know, 3 sessions a week, let's hop on Zoom, or like I meet you at the gym or anything like that. It's like, no, like I'm busy, you're busy, I'm an adult, you're an adult, like we can handle our business, right? So I'll put together the training program, and then with the nutrition and the supplements and stuff, a lot of it is just giving them one thing, 2 things to work on, and like hammer it, make that your new normal. You know, this is where what I refer to as, you know, stacks is we'll have like the overall performance stack of they got their training they need to get done. They got some like basic nutrition goals they got to focus on hitting, and they got some basic supplement recovery goals that they got to hit. You get those 3, like we're good, right? And it's designed in a way where there's not a whole lot of room for you to like worry about what you can't do. You just worry on achieving what it is that you're going to do. As long as you focus on that, you focus on the action and what's going to happen, then you're going to see the results, and it eliminates a lot of the room for the extra noise, you know? Because like you ask anyone who has ever dieted before, right? You get on like a super strict diet and it turns into the whole like, oh, like I can't eat this, can't eat this, can't eat this, right? Well, that's fucking depressing and boring. Like you don't want that, right? And all you can focus on is the thing that you can't do. Let's flip it. What are you going to eat? Okay, cool. We got to get enough protein in. Sweet. So eat this much protein in the day. Eat this much vegetable. Drink this much water, right? You do that and then fuck off. I don't care what you do. But I guarantee you, by the time you actually get that done, there's not a whole lot of extra time for the bullshit, right? Oh, like I got to train this, got to do this, this is. No, here's the minimums. Here's the minimum effective dose that you got to do to like check the box. Cool. Here's a little extra if you want it. You got time. Cool. But like, you hit these, we're good. Now go enjoy your life, you know? And with the setup and how I do it is we design that based off of what their goals are, how much time they want to spend in the gym. Someone wants to go to the gym every day, cool, we could do that. You know, I'm not opposed to it. It's just making sure that we set a baseline of like what that minimum is, of like the minimum effective dose and then what they want to do. Find that, you know, that sweet spot. And then every time they go in and they train, like, cool, send me some videos. Let me see what you're doing. And then I coach you up off that. Because the human brain can only fix one thing at a time. And this is what I noticed when I was training. I knew it when I was training athletes, but especially doing the personal training, is the amount of wasted time. So much wasted time. You got 1 hour training session, right? We're going to warm up for 10 minutes. Well, guess what? Like, if you show up early, do your warm up, great, you saved us 10 minutes. But after, you know, a couple weeks, you know what the warm up is. what am I really adding here? I'm not adding value for that 10 minutes. Then we like get into the workout. Well, you're going to rest 2-3 minutes most of the time between exercises. That's what you're supposed to, especially for training for strength. So what are we talking about, right? So you're going to spend 30 seconds working, 2-3 minutes resting, recovering. We superset it. You might cut that in half and we double it up. But realistically, I'm going to fix one thing that session. So if we're doing 5 sets of like one exercise, 2 exercises, let's say, that's 15-20 minutes, right, of like time. But you only actually worked for like 3 of those minutes. And I gave you cues in a grand total of 30 to 60 seconds that were valuable. And the rest of it was just either repeating that, chopping it up, because we're talking about, how our fucking bet cards played this past weekend or whatever it might be, or, what their kids doing in school, yada, yada. And like, by the end of the session, they got 4 minutes, 5 minutes of actual tangible value that is going to affect how they do things, and the rest of it is just me being a fucking hall monitor. Like, I'm babysitting. What are we doing here? So here's your program. You know how to do it. I break it all down for them, give them the tutorial, walk them through it, answer any questions. They go, they do their thing. You handle your shit, send me a video. I look at that video. I give you something to fix. You go in the next time, you fix that one thing. I don't care about anything else. You fix that one thing. Great. Looks like you got it. Well, here's the next thing we're going to fix. Here's the next thing and the next thing. Within 2-3 weeks, they're dialed. Their technique is on point and they're getting the maximum out of their, each rep that they do. Same thing with the nutrition. Focus on this. Focus on this. Right? Cool. We got that down. Cool. Now we focus on this. We didn't get that down. What's the hang up? What's holding us back? Awesome. Then we'll game plan that. But it really doesn't have to be that much more complicated than that. And so I simplify it down and I'm always available. Right? But the clients that do the best don't really like reach me that much or like hit me up that much more than they need to, because they're seeing the results. They're executing the system. They don't need me to hold their hand and babysit them and walk them through it. They have a rough week and like something comes up. Oh, I didn't do this. Like we'll game plan through it and figure out what we got to like shore up and change. And that's where, that's where the sauce comes in. Of like, I got to be able to get in there and address maybe some mindset things or overcome some limiting beliefs or help workshop how we work around some barriers, right? Something that's getting in the way of like how their life is set up. But beyond that, like they get they get the stuff that they need to do. They go execute that. Great. We're winning. What more do we need?
You mentioned at the start that now you just do purely online. You rarely do in person. What caused that switch? Because in my head, online, number one, you get more competition with other trainers that are online. You're competing with the world market at that stage. And number two, in person, isn't it easier to correct and address issues in person?
So I'm gonna answer this one in reverse. In person, yes, it is easier because I can use tactile cues, right? I can use the 2 fingers of death and point to like here and like give like the reinforcement, right? And it's like you feel like right, yes. Like that's my elbow, got it. But in reality, like all it does is it forced me to think outside of the box in terms of like my own ability to coach and level myself up to where I got to be able to use the tools that I have, which is basically via text or maybe a voice note. But I got to lay it out in a way that you can understand, visualize it, and implement it. So it forced me to get better with my coaching cues. Cool. But like you still get the same result. It might take a difference of, because like I said, you'll fix one thing per workout, right? So if you got 5 things wrong with how you're doing a squat, that's 5 workouts we got to go through. Whether I'm in person or online, it's 5 workouts minimum. Maybe it takes us 7. Because the first time I said one cue, it didn't quite work the way we wanted to, so I got to switch it up. But it got me to be able to cue things up and coach things up in a way to where, there's enough things in there that they can pull something out of it. Because this is where the science and the nitty-gritty comes in of understanding how people learn and structuring it in a way where you're hitting on, no matter what their learning system and their learning style is, that they're going to be able to, it's going to sink. It's going to resonate. It's going to sink in. So that's a nice part, about that, is that yes, it is easier in person, but if you're good enough, online still works.
And it's them doing it live with you, or is it they send you a
Nope.
video of them doing the reps?
Send me a video of you doing one set. That's all I need. You give me one set of an exercise, I'll fix it up.
Mhm.
That's all it takes. 30 seconds. Because again, what's going to be different between, let's say you're doing 8 sets of pull-ups, right? Is there going to be something radically different in set 2 versus set 5 versus set 6 outside of just being fatigued? Probably not.
Mhm.
So whatever it is I queue up based off that set means it needs to be fixed. Whether you did it twice, like 2 out of the 8 sets, or you did it every set, it still needs to be fixed. And by you fixing that, it's going to then lead to other fixes. Because this is the other part, is that when you fix one thing, oftentimes it'll fix other things
Mhm.
if you fix the right thing. So, and this is like understanding how the biomechanics of the human body work and how the brain works is a part that a lot of personal trainers miss out on, and they don't appreciate that. They don't look at it in the sense of, oh, I gotta, fix this because like this is the one thing that I know of, rather than if I fix this one aspect, I'm gonna be able to also probably clean up a couple other things with it. So case in point is if I'm coaching up a like a front squat, we'll say, right? And let's say that someone they're front squatting and they're having an issue where, they're not able to get to depth. You say, oh, sit lower. It's like, okay, maybe just tell them to sit lower, and like they don't have that. They don't have it in their brain, like to sit as low as they feel like they can, right? So you got to come up with a different cue to get that. Meaning it might be, hey, imagine you're breaking a rubber band with your knees, and that drives that external rotation. Well, that lets their hips sink a little bit lower, right? Awesome. But at the same time, you also fixed their knees caving in, which by opening up the hips, they can sit lower, and you fix the knees caving in. So you got a 2-for-1 right there, right? Or like they're falling forward in something. Okay, cool. We'll tell you what, elbows up and out, right? Awesome. So you're doing a front squat with a barbell, you go elbows up and out, well, that's going to tighten up their upper back.
Mhm.
So now their chest is proud and they stay vertical. Well, then being vertical lets them sit lower too. So knowing how all that stuff works and being able to, pick the right things and triage what needs to get fixed first, and then how that will affect things down the stream, like downstream from it, down the chain, that's where you get to leverage, good coaching cues. And that's why like online can work if you know what you're doing. So when it comes to competing with other people, because like you said, it's a crowded marketplace, right? Okay, most people can't do what I do. And I know that. And you go to like my Instagram, you look at some of the before and afters, you look at some of the testimonials, like the results are there. The right people, it resonates with them. And then they want to work with me, and we get like awesome results. We do dope shit. That's all I care about.
What sets you apart is your experience and your testimonials, first and foremost. Am I getting that right?
I would say a lot of trainers have like testimonials, right? They got before and afters.
Mhm.
So in that sense, that's not necessarily what differentiates me. What differentiates me is the experience and my approach.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing. Been doing it for 17 years now, right? So I've been training people for 17 years. The way that I approach it is different from any other coach out there. And I know this. And every time I've gone out and I've looked at other trainers and seen what they do, like how they, like the content they're putting out and all that kind of thing, I know I can see like how I do things is going to be different than how any other coach does it. So that's why I get the results that I get. And that's also why like I don't try to do things how other coaches do. I don't take one-on-one clients all the time. Like I'll open it up for like a limited window. You want to sign up? Cool. You don't? That's fine. All good. But like once that window closes, like we're good, because I also want to be able to work with the right kind of people and be able to give them the attention that they need to get rolling. And then once they're rolling, I want to be able to service that and like, let's capitalize on that momentum. So I don't care so much about having a shit ton of clients. I don't care about like a certain revenue number or having a certain number of followers or any of that kind of stuff. I genuinely don't. If I could do it with like the least amount of followers possible, like, we talked about this before, of I don't want to be famous. I advertise on social media out of necessity to like, have the business, but I don't really care how many followers or likes or any of that kind of stuff. I'm message in a way that the right people who are about it, who are serious about having elite performance and expanding beyond their own boundaries and making the most out of what it is that they do, they're going to want to jump in and be a part of that. And it's great. Cool. Let's do it. And if it's not, like, for, that, awesome. That's fine. Someone wants to just buy a program or whatever, have at it. Someone like wants to kind of dip a toe in, see what's up. Cool. One-on-one people, I'm here to do, again, kind of like I said with coaching and strength and conditioning with the athletes. Like, what do we got to do to win? I'm going to do that. And then some. And that's how I treat, that sort of thing. But that also means that for my own sake, I limit who has access to that because it's not for everyone. And I want to make sure that if I'm putting in that time, it's for the right kind of people. So I don't care so much about what the rest of the market is doing or how oversaturated it is, whatever, because I know that you're not going to get this, like what I offer, you won't get it anywhere else. So in a way, like, I'm really not competing with anyone. There isn't anyone that does what I do. I'm one of one. So, cool. Have at it, guys. Like, do the other, like, dopey fitness content and all that kind of thing. I've tried some of that social media, so it just isn't, it's not me. And so, like, I've come to realize that I'm just going to keep doing things my way and generating the results that I get for the people who want to work with me and that I want to work with. Not just who wants to work with me, but who I want to work with. And, like, we'll let it ride. It is what it is.
It sounds like at the end of the day, all you care about is generating those results for your clients and changing people's lives. In your case, what does your ideal client that you work with look like? What kind of attributes or characteristics are you looking for?
You got to be willing to get after it.
What does that mean?
So when they go into the gym, they got to be willing to train with intent. The intent that every rep that they do, they're trying to execute as best as they can, like to the highest level possible. That when they're done in the gym, like whatever like their nutrition kind of focus is, whatever that stack looks like, how can I do this the best that I can? How can I get the best sleep possible? How can I optimize? How can I dial in all those little things? And most of the time, we don't have to get that granular for them to overshoot what they wanted to do and go beyond that, right? It's super easy a lot of the time, especially if you train right. You can go into the gym and like 3 days a week is all it takes. 3 days a week, couple full body workouts, you do them properly, you can change how someone looks forever. You're going to start putting on muscle. You're going to burn off a shit ton of fat and your heart's going to be healthier. Your doctor's going to be like, yo, what you doing? So to me, like, if they're willing to get after it with intent and they care about seeing results and performing at their absolute best, then that's who I want to work with. You want to put on muscle? Great. I got something for that. You want to go run, some like endurance race? Cool. We got stuff for that. You want to get shredded and get a six pack? Got something for that. I got more ways of achieving whatever that goal is than like you have of staying the same if you're willing to show up and, execute. You go in, you hit the stack every time, check the box, easy. That's it. And if they're about it and they're as intent on success as I am, or even like 80%, easy. My life is easy now. I just have to say, point this direction, go, send it. And as long as they fucking pull the trigger and send it, then we're good. That's it.
Makes complete sense. What would you say are the top 3 things your clients get wrong?
Before they're my clients or after they're my clients?
Before they're your clients.
Okay, I was going to say.
People that are training, what do they get wrong? The top 3 things.
I get this question, like, I've had it before, and I probably should have like come up with a good soundbite for it, but I never have because I genuinely haven't thought that hard about it. simply because once my client's like, all right, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. So I don't really care what you were doing wrong beforehand. You know, it's just like that. It doesn't phase me. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like what you were doing before was shit. We have shit results. Duh. So I don't really care what it was that you were doing wrong. Here's what we're gonna do right. Is kind of where my focus goes. So trying to figure that out is actually a tough answer for me.
Or what are the most common issues that you see? Is it form? Is it nutrition? Is it mindset? Something completely different?
A little bit of everything. Nutrition wise, probably the biggest one is they don't know what they don't know, but like they're following some like nutrition fad, right? It doesn't really service their goals. The biggest one, honestly, is a kind of combo of mindset and training. Most people, when they go into the gym, they're not training properly. They don't train hard enough. And when they do try to train hard, they're training hard at the wrong things. So what I mean is they're putting in all this effort and all this energy into training super intense, as hard as they can, yada yada. But like they're doing it at the wrong things and in the wrong way. So they're trying to do like, you know, like guys who want to put on muscle, and so they're doing these body part splits. It's like, bro, you can do all, like, this is why I say, you know, we do stacks, not splits, because the stack is we're checking the box of the things that matter. We're not splitting up different body. No, we're training full body. Like, it's cool. We might do an upper lower, but like, really,
so it's compound movements.
Compound. But the thing is, you pick the compound movement and get more out of it. We're getting more out of doing less, and
So
that's what I mean.
They use machines too much. Is that the idea? Like they're focusing too much on one particular muscle as opposed to, let's say, your kettlebell method, which we're gonna dive into in just a second.
It's more about they don't focus enough on the 20% of things that they need to be doing that gives 80% of the results.
What are those 20%?
So when we talk about, like, you know, compound movements, like compound movement is anything that goes across, like, you know, multiple joints. It's like kind of how most personal trainers will talk about it. But in reality, like, I look at it as movement patterns, right? So you got to push, you got to pull, right? You got to hinge, you got to squat, you got to carry. Great, you know. Once you get past that, like, there's a fuck shit ton of different variations for different movement patterns and different compound movements and all this. Pick one for each and get really fucking good at it. Pick the one that's going to generate the best ROI, the best bang for your buck, and get really fucking good at it. Why are you doing 7 different pressing variations? Learn to press over your head and get super strong. You know, what do you think is going to do more for you? If you want to have like a big broad chest and like look like you fucking lift, do you think doing a half dozen, 6 different like chest press, dumbbell fly, whatever kind of things, you know, on your upper body day is going to get you there? Or do you think that if you could just press your body weight over your head, not even that, if you could press 2/3 of your body weight over your head for repetitions, you think that's going to make your shoulders and your arms bigger? Probably. If you could bang out 10 plus pull-ups, do you think that's going to do more for like growing your back than 17 different fucking like lat pull down, row, whatever variations? Like, if you just get really strong into a shit ton of volume with a couple important exercises, your body has no choice but to adapt, right? You want to do like 10 pull-ups with, you know, weight around your waist? You think your lats are going to grow? No shit they are. They have to. They have no other choice. Your back has no choice but to grow to accommodate the load that you're putting on it. And people lose sight of that. They try to come up with all these different ways to, like, you know, get a sick pump and feel the burn and like be drenched in sweat. And it's like, yo, just get fucking strong at a couple things and do a shit ton of it over and over and over and over again. And what's going to happen? If you're pressing like good size weight, you're pressing 1/4 of your body weight in each hand over your head, right? Like, you're using, if you're a 200-pound dude, you got 24 kilo bell in each hand. You're doing 30, 40, 50 reps in a workout, pressing it over your head. you think your shoulders and your arms are going to get bigger? No shit. Of course they are. So, like, what more do you want to do beyond that? Just get really strong with that. It's not sexy, but it's effective. You know, shouts out to Jeff Butler, one of my original strength and conditioning mentors. He was the first person that hit me with this term. He goes, the basics are super simple, right? He goes, the basics aren't sexy, but they're effective. So let's get really good at the basics.
Mastering the foundations, the 20%.
Yeah. Of all the exercises out there, you learn 6 to 10 of them. As long as you do the right 6, you know how to do the right 6 to 10 exercises, you got a lifetime's worth of training and results that you can get out of it. And you only got to do like 3 or 4 at a time. But people overcomplicate it and they get distracted and they start doing variety for the sake of variety and like trying to be like entertained by their workouts. I'm entertained by results. So that's the biggest mistake anybody makes, is that mindset and training together, the approach that they have towards it, is where they're missing out. And that's a big part of what I do differently and why what I do works so well, is that we remove your body's choice to stay the same. As long as you check the box and you execute the stack, there's no way for your body to stay the same. It has to adapt to get better. It's the said principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands. You know, also known as like Wolff's Law, which is that your body is going to adapt to the loads placed upon it, right? It's the whole thing of like how you get denser bones is you load the bones. So your body's going to adapt to what it is that you're imposing upon it. Well, if you're imposing 18 different ways to grow your back, how's it going to know which one it needs to adapt to the most? Whereas if you are just doing lots of pull-ups with lots of weight over and over and over again, what does your body got to learn how to adapt to? We keep doing these fucking pull-ups. Well, you know what I should probably do? I should probably get rid of all this extra fat on me because that's not helping me do pull-ups. And I should probably take that and let's start adding some of this lat muscle because those work a lot. Those biceps, they need to grow too because they're moving. They're under a shit ton of stress and a ton of load. So let me just grow those so that they're stronger and there's more tissue there so they don't have to work as hard. That seems like a good idea since that's all we seem to be fucking doing for our back. Shocking. Now all of a sudden, you're skinnier, you look better, you can see some abs, and you got a fucking widescreen TV for an upper back. Congratulations. You're welcome.
Don't confuse your body too much. Focus on one thing.
Yeah. Do the shit that works, and fuck all the rest. You know, fuck it off. You don't need it.
What got you into kettlebells? Was that something that was the foundation from the very start, going back to your training at universities? Or was it something that you discovered with time? Because when I think of kettlebells, I think of you.
I appreciate that.
I don't know of anyone else that... maybe the only other person is like Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan was pretty big on kettlebells at some point. Not sure if that's still the case. What got you into kettlebells, and what's the magic behind kettlebells?
So my first exposure to kettlebells was actually when I was at Fullerton College. Shouts out Coach Jesperson, RIP. Jeff Jesperson was the D-line coach for Fullerton College Hornets. He was also the first person, my first real, like true, very first mentor in anything fitness related. And he introduced me to kettlebells as like, you know, a training methodology and, you know, whatnot. There are a bunch of kettlebell trainers out there. There's a bunch of trainers who use kettlebells. What I found, I got away from them after a while when I got into strength and conditioning, simply because the majority of the strength and conditioning coaches out there and athletes are used to like barbells, dumbbells, that's what most weight rooms are made of. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have kettlebells. So it wasn't really an option. So I had to come up with, I had to learn how to coach Olympic lifts, how to coach, barbell lifts, power lifts, all that kind of stuff. I had to learn how to coach that, especially when I'm working for another coach and they're not putting kettlebells in the program, right? Then when I start working, for myself with my own clients, well, I get to pick what I do and I get to pick what they do to an extent. So if they have access to a bell, great, let's use it, because it's one of the most bang for your buck tools out there.
How come? Like, if something's the same weight, is the idea more so the different grips? that gives it the bang for the buck, or what makes it unique?
So the ergonomics of the kettlebell are very different in terms of how it loads, like compared to a dumbbell, right? Because that's the most like apt comparison. Is you got kettlebells versus dumbbells, and weight in your hand. And so with the kettlebell, the ergonomics of how you hold it has a very different way of activating your nervous system than a dumbbell does, just because of the weight distribution. And so if you think about it from the sense of, one, you have a thicker handle, so that you're going to activate your grip more. Well, the more activated your grip is, the more neuromuscular recruitment all the way up the chain you're going to get. So that in and of itself helps. But with a dumbbell, you're holding that, the handle right here in your hand, and the weight is on either side here. Okay, so it's kind of sort of balanced, and it's going to go kind of front to back. With the kettlebell, if you're holding it, the bell should be on the outside, right? Let's say pressing. Okay, so the bell's on the outside, which means that gravity's pulling it out. So what are you doing? You're curling in. That's further activating all those muscles in here to where you're getting more grip recruitment. What are you going to get more grip? All the way up the chain. More activation of all the muscles involved, right? So the ergonomics play a huge role in it in terms of nervous system activation. The more activated the nervous system is, the more muscle it's going to recruit. Fantastic. We're winning, right? So that's one big part of it. The other part of it is that if you look at the kettlebell swing, it's the only ballistic exercise that you can do without having to throw something. Ballistic meaning it's a power exercise. So you get the explosive ballistic power without having to decelerate it or let go. You do an Olympic lift like a barbell clean, right? Well, you're having to decelerate that bar and fight gravity at the top. You clean, bar's coming up, you still have to meet the bar, and then you're fighting gravity to stop. And then you stand up, right? Do a jerk, same thing. You shoot the bar over your head, you freeze, get into your jerk position, but gravity's still going to have a little bit of that jolt of coming down. You decelerate the bar. Kettlebell swing, that ain't happening. You're not decelerating it. It goes up, gravity's bringing it right back down for you. Easy. And so you get the power of that full hip extension, right? Every single time. Full driving, force into the earth. So you get rate of force development. But you can also use it for strength as well as conditioning. So you can program it in a way where you can safely develop your cardiovascular system and still have that ballistic effect. So you're building true power endurance. And it's a full body movement every single time.
And this is specifically for kettlebell swings.
Well, kettlebell swings, but then you got the cleans and kettlebell snatches, push presses, regular presses, all that kind of stuff. But there's from the ballistic nature, the swing and the snatch and the clean to an extent is going to be like your ballistics. And then you have kind of your grind. So your presses, rows, Turkish get-ups, and even that is going to be one where you're getting a shit ton of mobility and stability in the shoulder girdle and things like that. And you're opening up your range of motion, tremendous core activation, tremendous hip mobility, and the ergonomics of just how you press that bell, right? You got a dumbbell and you put it in that rack position here. That dumbbell head at a certain weight gets in the way, right? So now your arm is kind of out to the side. Kettlebell, you can be nice and tight through here because the bell's out here. And as you press, it allows good centration of the joint. So you get better joint movement and better range of motion, better mobility, as well as building strength in those ranges of motion.
Got it. And so if you have the option between kettlebell or dumbbell or barbell, would you choose kettlebell 80% of the time, 100% of the time?
That kind of depends on the goal, right? So depending on the goal and what we're trying to achieve, if it's a pretty general sort of thing, then yeah, I'm going to go with the kettlebell. Because to me, bang for my buck. What's going to be most efficient? What's going to get me the results that I want to get with as little time spent in the gym as possible? As little effort possible. Because the more time in the gym, the more that they're going to be trained, the more they got to recover from. The more they recover from, right, or have to recover from, right, then that kind of limits what we can do. So I want that minimal effective dose to get where we want to go without running into that recovery wall of they can't recover enough. And so having that efficiency, yeah, I'll choose the kettlebell if given the option versus other things, but it's not the only thing. If I'm training an Olympic weightlifter, guess what? You're using a barbell, man. That's your fucking sport. We're training for rowing. We're probably going to do some stuff with the barbell. You know, I got clients that like they want to put on some muscle and whatnot. They don't have access to heavy enough bells. Well, that's fine. You got a barbell? Great, let's do it. Oh, you're on the road. There's no kettlebells in the gym. All right, that's cool. You got dumbbells. You're like, because unfortunately you're in some shitty basic ass hotel gym that has dumbbells up to 45 pounds. We got workouts for this. It's all good. We'll still get the results. We'll still make progress. It's just a matter of what's optimal and what is necessary. We'll call it. Um, I like to search for optimal and most efficient, but sometimes you just gotta work with what we gotta work with. All you got is a fucking you're in a hotel room and you ain't got shit to like, no weights. Okay, well we got stuff we can do to get stronger. We got stuff to condition with. It's possible. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not exciting, but we can do it. But if I got the choice of like, hey, this is what I want to do, I'm gonna go for that first, and then I'll just dial back what it is, like my own preferences, and make it fit whatever the situation is. If that makes sense.
Why do so many trainers sleep on kettlebells or not include them into the training program? Because it's very rare that I go to the gym and see kettlebell swings, someone doing kettlebell swings. Most people just, at least for strength training, stick to the traditional barbell and dumbbell.
They're ignorant and they're scared. That's it. They're ignorant because they don't understand how it works. They don't know how to coach it. They don't know how to program for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared because they're ignorant and they're worried that they're going to hurt someone's back because they don't know how to coach it. If you coach it properly, it fixes back problems. You coach it improperly, it causes back problems. And most of the time when people are learning or coaching, kettlebells, they're coaching it improperly, in part because they don't use a heavy enough weight. It's counterintuitive, but you actually need to have a heavy enough weight to where your body's nervous system has to activate the muscles to fight against it in order to stabilize things. But when you use too light of a weight, your body isn't getting enough feedback in terms of the load imposed upon it to know what it is that it's doing. And so it's like the same kind of thing of if I have you stand up and you just do like a basic squat, right? Your body's trying to figure out where it is in space and do that whole thing and trying to understand what's happening and trying to control itself, right? But there's no external feedback. If I give you a 25-pound weight and you hold it like a goblet, do a goblet squat, all of a sudden you're just going to squat so much smoother and easier with a more vertical chest because you have that counterbalance that's going to activate your core more and it's going to allow you to sit down in that position because you have that feedback. So you need to have a heavy enough bell to give them the feedback to the nervous system to be able to do the movement properly. And you have to also know how to coach a good hinge movement. You got to be able to do a good deadlift and you got to be able to do that kind of thing and start with that over and over and over again to where the hinge is automatic. And then you got to know the progression to take them through a good swing and how to build that good swing out with a heavy enough weight that their body knows what's happening and can adapt to it and basically kind of fight the weight. They got to fight the weight a little bit. And this is why I say like training with intent and intensity and like going in, ready to get after it is important because if you're not willing to go in there and like fight the weight a little bit, you're going to have a much harder time being able to get to that movement pattern that you need to with like a kettlebell swing. You've got to have a little bit of aggression to it. And sometimes like I tell like dudes, I'll just be like, yo, like fucking let your balls drop and like throw that shit. Let's go. Like actually snap your hips. Get after it. And once you do that and you start to activate that stuff and you feel the difference, it like clicks in the brain. It hits a switch and like it transforms how you go about it and changes the approach. And then all of a sudden we really start to take off. But most trainers, because they don't understand the biomechanics and they don't understand how the body learns, and they don't understand the science behind it all, they're scared to go and do that because they don't know what to do. And as a result, they just don't touch it all together, which is fine by me. Like, I wish that they would for the sake of the betterment of people. But like I said before, this is why I don't concern myself with what other trainers do and how they like market and do all that kind of stuff because I'm not them. I don't do what they do and they cannot do what I do. We are not the same. And that's fine.
What are your top 3 kettlebell exercises?
What do we try and do?
let's say for general strength.
Just
Do you have
general
three
strength.
favorites? Yeah.
General strength. All right. If I were being a smartass, I would cheat and I'd say like the clean and press and call that one exercise, even though it's technically two. Well, I'm gonna say the Turkish get up is fundamental, and yeah, the two kettlebell clean and press. You do those two things, you can't go wrong. You really can't. Turkish get up because you learn how to get up and down off the ground. You get a tremendous amount of core activation, amazing shoulder mobility, amazing shoulder stability, fixes a ton of issues. Your hips have to be more mobile. You've got that control. And for longevity's sake, like, I tell people all the time, what causes like the death spiral in older people is they fall, they break their hip. It's a Life Alert commercial. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. You do a few thousand Turkish get-ups, you'll know how to get up. You can't not. So having all of that, to me, the Turkish get-up is super important for general strength, as well as just overall health. And then for bang for your buck, a 2 kettlebell clean and press cannot be beat for overall total body strength, building muscle, conditioning, wherever it is. Both of those, if you know how to program right, you can use both of them to make life-changing results for the rest of someone's life. That's like all you really need. So I guess that's technically 3 exercises, like the clean and the press separately. But you do them together. So
I remember first time I did Turkish get up was about a year back when I was training up for an event that we had in Marbella, and I wanted to complete the fitness blueprint, and I was doing those Turkish get-ups, and I had a shoulder injury in the past, and my one arm could meet the standard, but the other one was struggling because I feel a bit of pain above the shoulder.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing with that one was there was the fake grass set up in the gym, similar to the one that we have here in the background, and ended up not having any mat because I'm like, fuck it, I don't need a mat. I'm no pussy. I can take a little bit of fake grass, and then did enough of those, scratched up my knees, and ended up getting like a fever. And then I noticed, there's a rash on my knee from it. Oh shit, I got an infection. So if you guys do ever do Turkish get-ups on fake grass, make sure to have a mat underneath you because you're gonna scratch up your knees plenty.
I'm gonna say this: if you're ever doing Turkish get-ups and you are not on some type of like mat surface, you're probably going to have a bad time. Like normal grass, you'll be okay, but you're going to beat up the grass and you're going to end up getting like, not just grass stains, but you're going to leave some fucking indents in the grass. But Turkish get-ups are one that if you don't have decent quality mats, like you're going to beat up your elbows and you're going to beat up your knees. So that is one you do got to be careful of. But yeah, no, that's the first time I've heard of anyone getting like an actual infection from it. But yeah, scratching up your knees and that kind of stuff definitely happens. And then you learn. You're like, yeah, that was kind of dumb. I don't want to do that anymore. Yep.
Absolutely. When it comes to supplementation, like I notice you have the C4.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I got to open this.
On the table.
Yep.
What are your favorite supplements?
I mean, you always got to start with the 3 E's. Protein, caffeine, nicotine. So as far as like supplementing those, always a big fan. You could throw creatine in there as well. I personally, I've said this before, I've never noticed a huge difference from using it. I've had clients that have. All the research says that it works. It's super cheap. So like 10 milligrams or 10 grams, whatever a day, like a couple little fucking scoops, whatever. If it works, great. I call it a rain dance, right? Do the rain dance because like what the fuck else are you going to do? If it rains and it works, great. If it didn't, definitely doesn't hurt. So like, awesome. Collagen is up there as well. To me, collagen is super great for your joint health. Get some extra protein in. And the research shows collagen peptides are big for overall repairing joints and ligaments. you know, your tendons and all that kind of stuff, and maintaining elasticity, which is super important. So those would be kind of my top ones. And then you start getting into, you know, stuff like magnesium, vitamin D, all that kind of thing. I think those are really great if you need them. If you are outside getting a ton of sunlight, like low vitamin D can't hurt. Magnesium is a great one, especially at night for sleeping. I haven't noticed a huge difference myself in it, but again, kind of like a rain dance thing of it's cheap, easy to throw in there. Why not? You know, when you get past that, then you start getting into like, you know, if you want to go down the peptide rabbit hole and stuff like that, that's a whole different, like, you get into the nitty gritty, and then you get into much more nuanced and like specific like use cases of what you're trying to achieve. Because not every supplement is gonna be like a general, oh yeah, just do this and like only good things happen. It's like, no, like it actually doesn't make sense to use that if you're not chasing this result, because you're just wasting your money, you know? So that's a big one for me. But yes, as you mentioned, the C4, shouts out C4, the only fucking decent energy drink I've found out here. And I miss my energy drinks back in the US, and I can't wait to be home.
What's your favorite energy drink? Would it be White Monster?
No. Too tame. If I'm picking one, Bucked Up Wild Orchard.
Bucked Up Wild Orchard.
Yep. It's like an apple cider flavor. 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Nice.
Straight to the face.
Superpower.
Love it. Yeah.
Is it just for the nicotine, or because there are mixed reviews out there for energy drinks? I personally try to stay away from them because I'm a big coffee guy. I'm a coffee snob. I love a nice cappuccino first thing in the morning. Probably shouldn't do it right in the morning, but I love my double espresso shot right before training.
Yep.
Get the energy level up. Would you say there are negative side effects to, let's say, having one C4 a day? Or it's not?
Like, so first of all, I love coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that straight. The reason I'm super happy about my C4 right now is because all I've had for the past week is coffee. Like barely any fucking energy drinks. And so like, and the coffee out here hasn't done shit for me. So also it's just not as good quality as I'm used to at home. So like that irritates me. But there's a funny story. When I was doing a road trip across the country last month, we packed the coffee maker and like brought it into the hotel room every day. Like my girlfriend set it up, so every morning like it was straight like being at home, like a full pot of fucking unleaded right to the dome.
Nice.
Amazing.
Love it.
Amazing. Road trip hack for everyone at home. Pack a coffee maker. It's worth it. Guarantee you. But
drip coffee?
What's that?
Drip coffee?
Yeah, just drip coffee. Nothing fancy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, it was like basic, I'm trying to remember what blend we did. But yeah, just some basic coffee. You know, just some grounds. I think we had what was it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I think it was like a Black Rifle blend. Is the one we're using on the road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was, yeah, something like that. Anyways, yeah, so I love coffee. I also like the energy drinks. To me, I like to mix it up. The biggest harm from the energy drinks really is if you're drinking sugar-free or not. You go sugar-free, like, man, you're not gonna, like, yeah, it's got whatever chemicals and shit, yada, yada. Miss me on that shit. Like, honestly, like, if that's the thing that does you in, take it up with your parents, man. Like, you got too much chlorine in your gene pool. That's not the thing that's going to kill you. Like, realistically. Like, you got to go super hard to do that. But, like, they've done studies. There's tangible performance benefits for endurance when you're ingesting, like, 900 to 1,200 milligrams of caffeine.
Benefits.
Damn. It's science.
That's like
I got
10
the
cups of coffee.
I got the screenshot on my phone somewhere of like, you know, that cites the different studies. I remember I read this back in 2015. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. Because my boss, Jeff Butler, when we were at Southern Utah, we would he put me on to a pre-workout supplement from Chaos and Pain called Cannibal Ferox. It was a Cannibal Ferox amped blend.
Mm-hmm.
450 milligrams of caffeine, son.
Damn.
It's a trip. You are like it's the closest thing to Adderall that I've ever been on, like as a pre-workout, be like aside from actual like methamphetamine, Adderall type of like drugs. Never actually done meth, but like Adderall's pretty close. And it was like insane focus, and you just fucking work for like 90 minutes to 2 hours, cannot be stopped. The crash after kind of sucks, but damn, it's wild. And so, but we were just like, yo, full scoop of that. Like, shit, man. Like, it was getting for some heavy duty shit. But then I was like looking at research, and I found like, you know, a handful of studies, and they showed that for endurance, and I was doing a lot of rowing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Endurance, 900 to 1200 milligrams is like sweet spot for where you see optimal performance benefits. So I'm like, you're telling me I could do 2 scoops of this shit? And like all the other stuff in it is what makes it like really hit. But from a caffeine perspective, yeah, you could rock, you know, 3, you know, Bang energy drinks or Reigns or whatever, get 900 milligrams out of that. Like that will in fact like lead to performance benefits. Now, doing that consistently long term, probably not the best. So like moderate your usage, but like, you know, 500, 600 milligrams a day. Yeah, it's a handful of cups of coffee, but like, I mean, what are we doing here? Like, if that's the thing that does you in, you got way bigger problems, in my opinion. Personally, like that's just my opinion, you know. And I haven't seen any research that like goes the other way. It says like, oh, this is it. Like that's the thing you can't do. It's all the stuff that you throw in the coffee, right? Now, are you getting that 500, 600 milligrams from like drip coffee? You're drinking it straight black, putting a little salt in it, because like salt does make the coffee taste better. I don't know if you knew that, but like for the folks at home, blew my mind last year or earlier this year when I found out, but it works. Or are you doing like, you're getting pumpkin spice lattes from Starbucks? Because if you're drinking 600 milligrams of caffeine in a day, and it's coming from like Starbucks sweetened beverages type of thing, you're going to have like some health issues. But that's because of all the sugar and shit in it, not because of the caffeine, right? So understanding like how that comes to play and like the nuance of it, that's a super important part of how all that stuff works. And that's where I think people get lost in the sauce of like, they get fear-mongered on certain things, and it's like, yo, like it's really not that big of a deal, you know? But yeah, it is what it is.
And I've been reading your newsletters for the past bit. Mind sharing a little bit on peptides, because that seems to be all the heat nowadays.
Yeah, it's getting super popular. I mean, I guess, what do you want to know?
When should someone consider peptides? Is it usually after some sort of injury?
So I guess I'll do a little general breakdown. The whole peptide craze, and the majority of peptides out there, when we say peptides, what it is your body produces a bunch of like compounds, we'll say chemicals, whatever you want, how you want to refer to it, but essentially they're amino acid chains. A peptide is essentially a piece of an amino acid chain that your body will naturally produce, or that like will naturally occur in your body, but it's super condensed and concentrated down. So what they've done is they've isolated these like, amino acid chains, these peptides, essentially these peptide chains that deliver a particular benefit, isolate it, and are able to synthesize it to create an ultra concentrated version. So it's like mega dosing something that your body naturally produces. And sometimes it'll, you got to deal with some side effects or like potential like desensitization, the receptors. But oftentimes, like a lot of them, like it's extra, some extra juice, kind of like supplementing vitamin D, right? You go out to the sun, you get vitamin D, add a little extra on top, and you get hurt, So that's the whole concept behind like general view of what is a peptide. And there's ways that you can take them. You can take them orally. You can use them as a cream. The most common, most effective tends to be injection, because the bioavailability of what your body is able to actually use is much higher from an injection than orally, because orally your stomach, in the whole digestive system, as it digests it, filters out a shit ton of it. So the bioavailability, depending on the peptide, might be a lot lower. But because people are afraid of needles, they don't want to do that. Like, they're afraid of injections because it's like, correlated or has the connotation of steroids. They're afraid of like doing peptides. In reality, like little fucking insulin needle, like it's not much. I'm afraid of needles. I hate needles, but
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, which like people always look at me because like, wait, you have all these tattoos. I'm like, yeah, I didn't sit there and watch them put them on me. Like, you know, like I don't like seeing that needle go in and like feeling whatever. But and like the tattoo experience is different than an injection, big time.
Mhm.
But a lot of it's subcutaneous, so like you barely feel like it's a little pinch, if that. Half the time you don't even feel it. You know, you just use the right needle and you're good to go. So that's kind of the overview of peptides. When you want to use them is it depends on the goal you're going for. So if you want to, let's say you got an injury, right? Then there's certain peptides that expedite the healing process. Let's say that you are trying to train harder and you want to burn off some fat.
Mhm.
Well, there's certain peptides that will help with your recovery, you know, from recovery from your workouts, not recovery from an injury.
Mhm.
Or they're going to be ones that stimulate more natural growth hormone production. Or they're going to be ones like, you know, super popular ones right now that people know about that don't realize that peptides are like, it's known as Ozempic or Manjaro, Wegovy, all these GLP-1s, which is ones that they know it as an appetite suppressant. Really what it does is it just, depending on which one you're using, because there's a few different variations, it messes around with the glucagon signaling in your body and slows down your digestion so that you feel fuller faster and for longer. So then your brain is getting the signal like, oh yeah, no, we're good. We don't have to eat as much. We're good. And then you just stay fuller longer before your body's like, oh yeah, we should probably eat. Okay, cool. Like, let's go eat. But like, on up, we're good. We're full now. And so that's how it's suppressing like the appetite. Is it's just slowing down the digestion and then also sending the signal to your brain sooner that you're full and that you don't need to eat.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the times, you know, especially nowadays with the hypersatiate or hyperpalatability, I should say, of food, it tastes so good. It's been so developed over time. You know, as humans, I'm not talking the process shit. I'm just talking like our refinement of culinary like experience. We're doing things with food now that was never able to be done before. So food as a whole, even with natural ingredients, will taste better than it used to. The techniques of how we cook it, what we know about it, the science behind it, you know, gastronomy as people know about it, all of that goes into making better tasting food. So our bodies are, you know, we haven't evolved and caught up to the fact that our food tastes so good now that we naturally want more of it. And so we get hungrier. And that's where a lot of that comes from, that food noise of like, oh, I'm hungry. I want this like really good tasting thing, even though I don't necessarily need it. And that's why it's so effective of helping people, the GLP-1s at least, with managing and controlling their appetite and what they eat, and therefore being able to lose weight. Because it's the weapon to kind of fight back against the fact that everything we eat is so fucking delicious, right? And then you have other ones that will help with, like I said, stimulating growth hormone production, like in a natural way of your body. So like growth hormone secretagogue. And, you know, or you have ones that do the recovery, like BPC 157, TP 500. It's the most common ones that people know of as like peptides. Um, it's the, you know, injury healing ones, the Wolverine stack and whatever it is. Those are super effective because they promote, like they heal your body faster, you know, and it's, you know, body protective compound 157. It's something your body, it's part of a amino acid your body naturally produces, but you can mega dose it now to speed that process up. And it works. Like the science shows it works. All the anecdotal evidence shows it works. When I've done it, it worked. Like I've helped clients do it, it works. Family members, it works. You know, same with like the GLP-1s. You know, when you get into like the semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide, like they work. Everyone like it makes a difference. So they've started to pick up steam, and it's going to go more mainstream. And it's something I actually sent out in newsletter, like you said, yesterday, talking about that's one of the things that I see happening in the future is as in the U.S. they oh, there's a cat. That's it.
Oh yeah, he's been chilling with us the entire week.
Shit, yeah,
Beautiful orange one.
yep. But yeah. So the like I think it was about 2 weeks ago. It was Eli Lilly and whatever the other manufacturers that has a patent on semaglutide, tirzepatide.
Mhm.
They signed a deal where they're dropping the price down. So they're making it more affordable and more accessible for people to get. Well, America has this huge obesity crisis.
Mhm.
So, you know, the catch with where people get worried about, what up, dude? You're kind of wild, so I ain't gonna pet you. It's okay though.
Oh no, he's very well groomed.
Yeah. Okay, so he's not like someone owns him. You're saying?
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. All right. What's up, man? My cat would be so jealous right now.
Mhm.
But oh yeah, he's beautiful. So the we got this obesity like problem in America. We got all these health problems that come along with it.
Mhm.
Well, as people start to use these drugs, you know, now that they're considered drugs, but as they use these peptides and start losing weight, like that is going to radically change the healthcare landscape of America, assuming that we actually like people follow through on it. And you're going to see more and more people as they see the results be like, okay, whoa. So that works. What else is out there? You know, because they dip a toe in it, they see some like results. All right, give me some more. I've gotten over the whole like I'm afraid of like a little insulin needle. What else can I do? What else can I optimize? And you're going to see a lot more focus on health and longevity as people start to see the results. Now, there's a lot of fake kind of, I don't want to say fake, there's a lot of fear out there about, you know, side effects and things like that. In reality, the thing that you have to remember is that when you're using peptides, there are, you know, some potential side effects, generally mild, if any, but in order to maximize the effectiveness of it, you have to be taking care of the other things that like go along with it.
Mhm.
Meaning, if you're taking some healing peptides, you got to take a break from the shit that hurt you in the first place, so your body can actually heal, right? If you're using the GLP-1s and like, you know, these weight loss peptides, you got to be doing the things that also help expedite the weight loss process, you know? And so you got to do stuff like you have to be lifting weights. You got to be active, right? Just taking it and hoping that it's going to like fix it. Yeah, you'll eat less and you'll lose weight, but you are going to lose some muscle. You're going to lose some bone density unless you're doing things to stimulate that retention. You know, like I said before, the SAID principle and Wolf's Law is that if you're loading your body by doing some resistance training, you're lifting weights, right? And you're getting out and you're going hiking or you're just active. You're doing things that force your body to work, where your body's going to need to adapt to those demands, and it's going to put the muscle on, right? You're doing a bunch of pull-ups, your body's going to add back muscle. You're doing some squats, it's going to add leg muscle. You're putting your body under load, under stress, it's going to build bone density. Now you couple that with a weight loss peptide, then yes, it's going to burn off the fat because you're eating less, but it's also going to retain your muscle and keep trying to build and hold on to as much as it can rather than letting it go to waste. And that's where you send the signal to your body to get rid of the shit we don't need and keep what we do. And even on its own, assuming that people don't do that stuff, losing weight in general for them is going to be beneficial if they are obese enough. If they're truly obese, like, you're better off, yes, with a little bit less bone density and a little less muscle mass, but you're better off at 200 pounds than 300. So, like, is it as good as you could be? No, but it's better than you were. Probably not going to have diabetes, or less likely to. Your heart disease, your high blood pressure, all those other comorbidities, those are going to go down. That's just natural. It's how it's going to be. So that's kind of like what you use them for is really, or what peptides you use depends on what you want to use them for and what you're trying to accomplish. And then just make sure that you're smart and responsible about how you go about it.
Got it. Are you currently using peptides yourself?
Hell yeah, for sure. Let's see. So the stack I'm on right now, been playing around with some growth hormone secretagogues, so like ipamorelin, tesamorelin, and CJC 1295. I use what's called delta sleep inducing peptide, DSIP. I'll use that occasionally. Like when I flew out here, I used it to kind of help bust through the jet lag. And I've played around right now. I'm running an experiment with a blend of retatrutide and cagrilintide, which is two different ways of attacking the appetite suppression, but I'm microdosing it. So normally with the GLP-1s and the appetite suppressants, all the research has been around doing like once a week dosage, and it works. It's proven to work, right? But for what happens is you build that dose up, over time, and then once you hit that weight loss, you got to titrate your way back down off of it, right? So I'm playing around with an experiment of microdosing. So rather than once a week, doing a twice a week dose, super low dosage, and just getting enough to kind of take a little bit of the edge off the food noise, but not so much that you're going to lose a shit ton of weight. Because I don't have a whole lot of weight that like I need to lose. It's just more so what's the effect on appetite and food noise and finding out what that feels like. And then it's super easy to titrate right back off of it without it being like go cold turkey and you want to eat everything in sight. Because there can be that effect due to the sensor desensitization and things like that over time. So try to use the minimal effective dose, just enough to kind of keep things in check and we're good without having any super drastic results or side effects in the future. And I've run cycles of like say Sloop, SOU, PP332, done a little like messed around with some BAM 15, Carterine, a whole bunch of different ones, right? And again, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So for me, I'll always try something out on myself before I recommend it to like a client or family member, whatnot. But I've got family members that are using, some terzepatide, using Glow, which is enhanced version of that BPC 157 and TB 500 stack. You add in GHKCU, which is a copper peptide, and similar to like a supercharged collagen. So it's great for reducing inflammation and healing soft tissue and connective tissue. And I'll use that on occasion. Last year in jiu-jitsu, I got heel hooked by a white belt while we're wearing the gi, which if you do jiu-jitsu, you know that 1, white belts aren't supposed to heel hook. 2, you're definitely not supposed to heel hook in the gi. Like that's not legal anywhere. 3, motherfucker jumped on that thing and cranked it real fast. So by the time I was able to tap, he because I was just like kind of letting him like, okay, thought he was going for an ankle lock and whatever. All right, sure, we're messing around. All of a sudden he swaps over to a heel hook and turns. I'm like, yo, the fuck? My knee popped. Didn't really know exactly what it was, but walking didn't feel great. And so I ran a cycle of BPC 157, TB 500, and within a week I was walking pain free, like a couple days really, and within a week I was back on the mat at jiu-jitsu, and there was still some weakness and like some pain in certain positions, so I was mindful of it, just careful, but I was back to normal like relatively quick, and then haven't had any issues since. It helped with healing shoulder injuries, elbow injuries. I broke my wrist or like hand, fucked it up 2 years ago now, same thing. BPC 157 helped with that. It's helped with clients who have had like their own shoulder injuries, rotator cuff stuff. Has shown effects for fixing gut health. At least BPC 157 has when you take it orally. So yeah, I'm a big believer in them, big fan. And as far as like side effects go, I do regular blood work, so all my blood work is showing like everything's good. There's no noticeable side effects, whether it's internal or external, that there's anything negative happening. So at least in my own anecdotal experience and experimentation, along with what the research has shown in scientific stuff, I got no real downsides or like issues with it, other than just be educated on what it is that you're doing. Do the research yourself as well. Like make sure you know what it is that you're doing. And if you're getting information from the source, find out where they're getting their information from. Make sure that you trust them. But beyond that, like, yeah, man, let it rip.
Do your due diligence.
Yeah.
You're going to be taking anything.
For sure, man. Because it is your body, right? You only got the one meat wagon for your whole life. So you do want to take care of it. Don't be too reckless.
100%. Down for a quick rapid round of questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll have to look into peptides, man.
Yeah, man. Yo, I got a doc I'll send your way. Just like my top 5 that I found. Because like a lot of it, like you can start, like I started with kind of the basic protocols and stuff that you find in like the scientific research, and then expanded beyond that. So, and then it was just like seeing what other people were doing, getting inspiration for that, and then like figuring out how I can make it fit for me. Because like I'm big on simplicity, so like I don't want to have to do like anything super complicated or like be doing like do this like twice a day and like this and this. It's like, yo, man, just like keep one shot, boom, done, move on. Like I don't have to overthink this. So the more I can experiment to figure that out, like, and then obviously help clients, awesome.
First question.
Yeah.
In our quick rapid fire round. What is one kettlebell weight everyone should own?
24 kilo.
Why 24?
whether you're a dude or a woman, I guarantee you that if you do a lot of reps of swings with a 24 kilo, you will get better. And it's a general weight where no matter how big or small you are, within reason, like if you're a fat fuck who's over like 250 or whatever, like disregard. But if you're even like anywhere from 225 down to 125, which is the majority of human beings, inside of that range, you can get benefit out of a 24 kilo bow.
Is that your go-to usually, or?
Well, so it's also the test, like the test standard weight for strong first, as well as the simple standard weight for females for the simple test. And for me, yeah, it's a go-to of like kind of a good general benchmark for like every dude should be able to do everything with a 24 kilo.
What's the biggest form mistake you see?
Form mistake?
Yeah.
With what exercise?
Any exercise.
Any
What's the
exercise?
most common one?
Range of motion. Easily range of motion. Most people don't squat deep enough, they don't hinge far enough back, and they don't do full range of motion on their pull-ups or their presses or anything like that. They short stroke it all the time. Range of motion, for sure.
What's the best warm-up for kettlebells?
Shouts out the best damn warm-up out there on my YouTube. Actually, it's unlisted, but I'll send you the link for it. I think that's probably like the best one. In reality, as long as you warm up, your hip flexors, get a little hip mobility in there, some core activation, get the body temp up so you get a little sweat going. Whatever gets that going, like, you're good to go, man. Don't overthink it.
Is chalk important at all?
Yes, but it's probably not as necessary as you think it is.
How often should one person train?
As often as they need to get the results they want. And then no more than that. Go live your life.
Soreness, good or bad signal? It just is?
It is. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Where are you sore? Is it a muscle soreness? Is it joint soreness? Because like joint soreness, probably not good. Muscle soreness, it's okay. It'll happen sometimes. Is it preventing you from like being able to train, or like is it putting you in a spot where like you might actually like hurt yourself doing something like other things? That would be a problem. But like in and of itself, like you go do a bunch of lunges or some squats and your legs are sore the next day. Like, all right, cool, congratulations, you did something. Whatever. Should have buff out.
What's the first peptide one should look into?
What do they need to do? Like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of these questions, it's all contextual, right? It's all based off of what are you trying to accomplish out of it? Because you want to look into peptides, great, but like, what do you want to get out of it? If you don't have an injury to heal from, don't worry about BPC 157, TB 500. Like, yeah, it'll help you feel a little bit better, might help you recover, deal with a little, but like, it's not gonna be the thing that moves the needle for you, right? If you're fat, look into retatrutide, look into tirzepatide, right? If you got like, a knee injury or a shoulder injury, then yeah, look into some healing peptides. Maybe you don't need to worry about losing weight, right? Like just depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish and then go down that path.
Let's say strength.
Strength? Strength is a tricky one because there's a couple out there that show a good amount of promise for increasing and building muscle. 5-amino-1Q is one of them, and I would say look into that. Look into Sloop because it's a exercise mimetic, which basically means that whatever it is you do for training, it's going to amplify that result. And then any growth hormones, secretagogue, or just growth hormone itself, that's going to be a big one.
When should one consider TRT?
When you've done everything you can to optimize your sleep, when you are not eating like a jackass, you're eating like an adult, when you're training like a fucking savage, and you're at least over the age of 25. If you're doing all of that, you got the first three down, and you're over the age of 25, you've done everything, like all the natural things, and your testosterone is still low, then it's time to me, like, all right, you can consider it. But understand that you got to be educated on the side effects, know what it is you're getting into, know that like it might compromise your ability to have kids in the future, like all these sorts of things. So as long as you're aware of it and you know the risks and the side effects and like what comes along with it, if you've done all the shit to like fix it naturally, like why keep holding yourself back? You know?
What's the best recovery method nobody does?
I'm a hypocrite for this, but sleep. I'm a huge hypocrite for that, but whatever. It
Likewise.
is. It really is. Like, it honestly is the best fucking recovery thing that anybody should be able to do is sleep better and eat better. You eat more protein and you get more sleep, I guarantee you life will be better.
What's your personal training split right now?
So this trip has been ass, so we're going to disregard that. When I'm home, I do snatches 2 to 3 times a week, and I do one kettlebell clean and press for like the last couple weeks was one kettlebell clean and press 3 times a week, give or take, 2 times a week, somewhere in there.
And
But
how many reps and sets?
dude, depends on the day. I can show you the spreadsheet, but like sets, reps, weight, it changes every time. Every day is going to be a little bit different, but let me see if I can find Q4 lift. Where we at? I got way back in here. Shouts out to the Be a Dude program. Yeah, my Google. Here we go. So like you could see here, I'll brighten this up for you. Every day, like so those are the reps, and that's the weights. Like it fluctuates. You know, sometimes you're doing like right here, I'm doing alternating between sets of 2 and sets of 1, but I do that 4 times through, right? So it's different every time.
Very interesting.
So like, but and
10 to 20 sets per workout.
Could be 4 sets, 20 sets. The variety is in the intensity and the volume, right? So the weight, the difference in weight and the difference in volume, that's where my variety comes in. And that's what stimulates the adaptation. So this is a principle of Strong First and like the Plan Strong system. Shouts out to Pavel and Fabio, where it's based on the Soviet method. And essentially what it means is that rather than switching up exercises for variety to like keep your body confused and having to adapt, you adjust your volume and your intensity day to day, week to week, month to month, cycle to cycle, where that's where your body it is adapting. It only has one motor pattern it has to learn. But it's always getting hit with a different level of stimulus, whether it be more volume, less volume, more intensity, less intensity. They're decoupled, so it alternates. It's all fucking chaotic. That's your variety. Some days are super easy. Some days you get your dick stomped in the dirt. Some days it's in between. And as long as you have that fluctuation, that variety in that, your body's always going to be adapting, but it only has to adapt to the motor pattern, like one motor pattern rather than 7, right? And then now all of a sudden it can put on all that muscle. And it can burn off all that fat and get that much stronger because it's getting stronger with the same thing over and over. But that's where the difference in adaptation is. And that's the same with like doing swings, snatches, the ballistics and conditioning is as long as there's variety in the load and the volume, right? Not necessarily the weight, but like the overall load of the workout and that's your variety is interchanging the load and the intensity workout to workout. Fantastic. The body's going to have something to adapt to still, even if it's the same exercise.
Coffee before training or no?
Sure. Coffee, like fucking whenever, man. Like, yeah, you shouldn't drink it late at night or whatever, but like somehow I've been, I managed to drink coffee last night and like still sleep for 8 hours. Thank God. First time in a while. But I slept 8 hours, not drink coffee at night. But like, I mean, just get a little caffeine in you.
And do you usually train in the morning? When's the best time for you personally to train?
I'm pretty well like adapted to training like late morning or kind of early evening. That's when my body kind of, really likes to. I'm not an early morning training guy. I can do it. I just never really, I don't enjoy it. It doesn't feel great. I also don't like training late at night. There was a period in my life where I was training at like 1 a.m. sometimes, like super late at night. Not great, but got to get it done. But really, like, whenever you got the time to get the work done, like, get it done. I'll train throughout the day. Like, that's another one. It's like, I'm a big fan of Grease the Groove. So I'll, like, set a little timer, and every 20 minutes, you go fucking bang out some presses. Go back, do some work. Beep. Cool. Let me do, it's next set. And so I'll spread a workout throughout the day. If that's what you got to do to get, like, work done, do that. But whatever it is that lets you check that box, as long as you're checking the box on the stack, cool, man. I'm not gonna let's not major on the minors here. Focus on make the major thing, make the one thing the one thing. Focus on the major things that, like, are going to be important. And fuck the rest off. Who cares?
What are your general thoughts on the Soviet method?
I think that it's going to be superior to most anything else you're going to find out there. Yeah.
Do they have a lot of emphasis on kettlebells?
It's something that they used, but their methods were... The reason that the Soviets were better at training is because, and like, their system, and this is something...
So about 2 hours in, both the mic and the camera decided to tap out at pretty much the exact same time. So even my equipment couldn't handle the Soviet method. But here's the thing, Ian was mid-sentence breaking down the exact system that built Soviet athletes. Same exercise, different intensity, day after day. Your body has no choice but to adapt. And right when he's about to land the plane, everything dies. Lesson learned, and the equipment's been upgraded. I got the DJI mics along with a nice DJI camera, so I promise to you guys that will not happen again. So Ian, if you're watching this, we're gonna finish that conversation, maybe in America this time. And I know that the Soviets didn't quit when things got hard, so neither will we. Part 2 is coming. We owe you the full breakdown. 17 years of coaching elite athletes, and here's what it comes down to: intent. Most people show up to the gym, but they just don't show up mentally. They go through the motions, junk reps, half range motion, no focus. And Ian says every single rep, every single one should be executed at the highest level possible. Training is not just physical, it's a decision you make with every movement. Are you present, or are you just there vibing? Ian is the proof that it's not about how many exercises you do, it's about how you do them. Intent, focus, full range of motion, no wasted reps, and yeah, no wasted podcasts either. New equipment, new standard. This is Breaking Cigars, real connections, real intent. We'll see you in part 2.